In the last part of Lesson 27, you are going to take the text format of Allegory of a Cave and apply it to the visual medium of Allegory of the Cave. I suggested to you, if you weren't totally sure about the story before, to watch this video, but now regardless, everyone's going to re-watch it, even if you've already watched it. To give you some background information, Plato's Allegory is a very famous written piece of work. Even though it is over 2,400 years old, it is still read and studied today. The text explores several big ideas, which is what is reality, what is the meaning of truth, and what is the value of knowledge. We're going to watch a video which explains the allegory and examines the same ideas. As we watch, I want you to examine the advantages and disadvantages of each medium. So while you're watching, and after you're watching, you're going to be completing this worksheet in your packet. What are the advantages and disadvantages of various mediums in presenting these concepts? The two mediums you're going to be looking at are the visual format, which you're about to watch, and the text written format, which you have read and listened along to.
What is reality? Knowledge, the meaning of life. Big topics you might tackle figuratively, explaining existence as a journey down a road or across an ocean, a climb, a war, a book, a thread, a game, a window of opportunity, or an all too short-lived flicker of flame. 2,400 years ago, one of history's most famous thinkers said life is like being chained up in a cave, forced to watch shadows flitting across a stone wall. Pretty cheery, right? That's actually what Plato suggested in his Allegory of the Cave, found in Book 7 of the Republic, in which the Greek philosopher envisioned the ideal society by examining concepts like justice, truth, and beauty. In the allegory, a group of prisoners have been confined in a cavern since birth, with their backs to the entrance, unable to turn their heads, and with no knowledge of the outside world. Occasionally, however, people and other things pass by the cave opening, casting shadows and echoes onto the wall of the captive's face. The prisoners name and classify these illusions, believing they're perceiving actual entities. Suddenly, one prisoner is freed and brought outside for the first time. The light hurts his eyes, and he finds the new environment disorienting. When told that the things around him are real, while the shadows were mere reflections, he cannot believe it. The shadows appeared much clearer to him, but gradually his eyes adjust until he can look at reflections in the water, at objects directly, and finally at the sun, whose light is the ultimate source of everything he has seen. The prisoner returns to the cave to share his discovery, but he is no longer used to the darkness and has a hard time seeing the shadows on the wall. The other prisoners think the journey has made him stupid and blind, and violently resist any attempts to free them. Plato introduces this passage as an analogy of what it's like to be a philosopher trying to educate the public. Most people are not just comfortable in their ignorance, but hostile to anyone who points it out. In fact, the real-life Socrates was sentenced to death by the Athenian government for disrupting the social order, and his student Plato spends much of the Republic disparaging Athenian democracy, while promoting rule by philosopher kings. With the cave parable, Plato may be arguing that the masses are too stubborn and ignorant to govern themselves. But the allegory has captured imaginations for 2,400 years because it can be read in far more ways. Importantly, the allegory is connected to the theory of forms developed in Plato's other dialogues, which holds that, like the shadows on the wall, things in the physical world are flawed reflections of ideal forms, such as roundness or beauty. In this way, the cave leads to many fundamental questions, including the origin of knowledge, the problem of representation, and the nature of reality itself. For theologians, the ideal forms exist in the mind of a creator. For philosophers of language viewing the forms as linguistic concepts, the theory illustrates the problem of grouping concrete things under abstract terms. And others still wonder whether we can really know that the things outside the cave are any more real than the shadows. As we go about our lives, can we be confident in what we think familiar illusions. Truth or habit, light or shadow. Hard choices, but if it's any consolation, you're not alone. There are lots of us down here.
The video gives you a lot of good explanations about things, and I truly think that it clarifies a lot about what the story was truly about and how we as a human race tend to stick to what's comfortable and what we know, as opposed to really opening our eyes to understand things from a different perspective and from the truth in the meaning. Think about how our country has been affected after this presidential election. There's a lot of things that people are choosing to turn a blind eye to versus things that people are choosing to expose and educate others on. So as you answer this final question, where you're looking at the advantages and disadvantages, think about what the benefits of looking and reading something on paper is versus watching and hearing something. There are advantages and disadvantages to both. What are you able to gain by reading? Maybe the fact that you can go at your own pace, you can look at the words, you can understand the words. Think about what the advantages and disadvantages are of watching a video. The fact that you may have missed information, someone talks too fast. Okay, there are a lot of things that you can be writing down for this. So please stop this video and work on that now. Once you have done that, this packet is complete, so you need to turn in this packet.